Okay, so what I would like to do in this visualization thing is I would like to have an array of samples, and I would like to be able to feed those samples in, and for each of those numbers to be the height of a bar. Okay, so I want a screen with a bunch of bars on it, and the bars to go up and down based on essentially where the speaker is for that individual sample. And I'll show them all on the screen at the same time, and maybe we'll see a little bit of a little bit of a waveform. It may be a little bit hard to see, but we'll also see that the bars are higher when we speak louder, and that should be very easy to see. So let's see. If I have this array of samples, now when this thing is first created, that's going to be null, and I don't want my paint component thing to crash. So I'm just going to have a little protection here. I'm going to say if samples equals null, return. And then I want to say, all right, how big is this panel? I'm going to say dimension D is equal to get size. So get size is a method that grabs the dimension object, which holds a width and height. And we've got to import dimension. Because I would like these bars to fit reasonably well within the size of the panel. I've got to know how big the panel is to do that. I'm going to just set the color to black and fill in the black background. And g dot fill rect 0, 0 d dot width and d dot height. So that fills in a black background. Now I'm going to calculate the width of my little bars. And so I know if I've got this array of samples, I can get its length. The length of an array, it tells me how many things are stored in that array. An array it's a collection of things. In this case, it's a collection of short integers. Each short integer is going to tell me the height of an individual bar. So I'm going to say double dy. dy is going to be the width of a single bar, and is equal to, and I'm going to cast it to a double, d dot height divided by samples dot length. Now, what's this whole casting to a double thing about? I guess I could probably get away without that, but I would like to, whenever I do arithmetic, I like to try and not throw away anything if I don't have to, and calculate things as precisely as possible. And then eventually, in the last moment, if I have to throw away some information at some point, I'll do it, but I'll wait as long as I possibly can. I'm doing a division, and the height is an integer. Samples.length is an integer. Those are whole numbers, and if you just divide two whole numbers, the computer will evaluate that, and it'll throw away the remainder. It'll do integer arithmetic. I don't want it to do arithmetic. So by casting this first number to a double, that is just going to add a 0.0 to it, and then if I take a double and divide it by any other number, I'll get back a double. Something so that I don't end up throwing away that remainder. It'll actually calculate out that fractional component. And then I'm going to say double dx. Whoops. I didn't want to use samples.length here. I was confusing dy and dx. I'm just going to throw in a number 1,000. That's a magic number. We'll see how it looks, and I may adjust it later. I don't like magic numbers, but we'll worry about that later. Here I want to do d.width, and then divide that one by samples.length. Okay, so dy is going to be what? So I've got a number inside of samples. If that number is 1, then it's a number that I'm going to multiply by this value in samples to get the height of the bar. And it's just a scale factor, because this number inside of samples can be really, really, really big. It's a short. It's stored in 2 bytes. And so an approximation is to say 2 raised to the what power? 16. 2 to the raised to the 16 power is how many different possible values that I can store in a short. Now, half of those are roughly half of them are negative. So 2 to the 15 is about the biggest number I could store. That's a huge number. The height of my J panel isn't anywhere near that big. So if I just use that number as it is for the height of my bars are all going to be off the screen and I won't see them. So I've got to scale them down. So this gives me a scale factor that I'm just going to multiply dy by samples. So that'll scale the value down to something that I can see on my screen. dx is just, it's going to be the width of a single bar. Okay. And then I'm going to say something like g dot set color dot white, because I want to draw my bars in white. And then I want to go through each of the samples. So for int I equals 0, I less than samples dot length, I plus plus, g dot fill rect. And now what's my x location? It's going to be an integer that is essentially I times dx. So dx tells me how wide my bars are. If I'm on the ith bar, say I is 5, I want to move it over to have enough space for the 4 bars that were to the left of it. So I'm just going to shift it over in the x, I times dx. And then my y value. So this is the top of the bar. It's going to be an integer that is equal to, well, the height of my window, because I want my bars to be at the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to take the height of the window minus the height of the bar. How big is the bar? Samples sub I times dy. So dy is my scale factor. Samples sub I tells me how big that sample is. And then width, I'm just going to convert to an int my dx. And hopefully dx is more than 1. Otherwise I'm in trouble. I'm just going to go ahead and say plus 1. That way I know that I've got a bar that's at least 1 wide, even if dx turned out to be something less than that, something less than 1. Int. So the height is just, as we said before, samples sub I times dy. Okay, so that should draw each one of my bars. The question is, though, how do I set my bars? I'm gonna call a method from this program that's going to pass an array of samples to my AudioViz, and my AudioViz, when it receives that array of samples, it's just going to reset this array to whatever it gets. And then every time paint is called, it's just going to be able to paint this. So I'm going to say public void update. And it's going to get an array of shorts. we'll call it new samples. And we'll just set samples, the variable up top here, equal to new samples. So this is a method, it's a public method that the other class will be able to use to tell AudioViz to update its samples. So now in my run method, what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to create this buffer, take this buffer, and convert it to an array of shorts. That buffer is an array of bytes. So let's see. If I have, I'm just going to say, let's see, do I have an instance of AudioViz? I don't yet. I guess before I even do any of that conversion, I'm going to need to put an instance of AudioViz on my screen. Now is probably a good time to stop my video and start a separate recording.